Okay, hello. Several things today. I wanted to actually announce some good news. The good news is that the trials emanating from Guantanamo Bay have basically been thrown out of court in a federal court about a week ago. So this is good news for anyone supporting human rights. It may not be resolved immediately, but essentially what has happened is that some of the convictions or sought after convictions of prisoners at Guantanamo Bay have been thrown out of a federal court on the premise that the testimony obtained from those prisoners was obtained under torture and duress. And so it was thrown out of a federal court in terms of further convictions for these people. 5 people to be exact. I'll post a link to that story in my video. This is very definitely good news, and we should applaud it, and we should press the president-elect to press ahead with these admissions from our own government entities that the proceedings were neither just nor forthright. So this is very good news. Of course, the bad news always follows the good news. And the bad news is that Israel is not letting up on the seizure of Gaza. They are basically letting no humanitarian aid go into that strip of the country. And so the situation is miserable. Furthermore, also good, I'm not sure how far that's going to go though, is the indictment of Cheney and Rumsfeld in a district court in Texas for essentially circumventing the judicial system in Texas itself, favoriting privatized prison companies and going completely against the law of that entire state of Texas. So we'll see how this will play out, because it's the indictment by a federal jury in Texas has come underway, but it has not been signed by the judge in Texas. So my guess would be it may not be signed after all. We shall see. The general boredom, in terms of our videos now, it's not so much, it doesn't have so much to do with not anything going on. It has much more to do with what's getting out there in the mainstream news, which is essentially non-news as usual. And as several other channels have pointed out, we are living essentially right now in a state of oblivion as usual. After the election, the attention span time gets lower. It weasels down to the nitty-gritty, and only the die-hard politicos are going to pay any attention to it. Well, I'll tell you what, I am not a die-hard politico, because I basically hate politics, but you have to pay attention to this stuff. If we're going to change anything, we have to stay on top of it. And the incoming administration, is counting, just like previous administrations, on the ignorance of the vast majority of people. And some educational surveys which have recently been actually widely publicized, even in the mainstream news, are not even taken seriously enough when you consider that 71% of Americans are actually completely unaware of their own laws or their own constitution. You know, that's pretty sad when you don't know, as a citizen of your own nation, what your nation is supposed to be about. So our channels will try to educate people on that on a continuous basis, no matter who is in office. And the only way to bring any change, peaceful change about, is to educate people. And sadly, you know, most people are educated through cable television, and they think everything that's coming through the tube is the news or the reality. Well, the reality is a bit different. And so I'll probably make a few videos on this. Probably more, not so much political, but under the educational category, because it's lacking. This is lacking in America. People cannot just depend on news from the internet, from news. I don't know where it's from, you know. Considered sources, marginal sources, or whatever. It's not enough. What you need to do is go back a little bit in history and actually start reading books before they become banned, because it'll open your eyes quite a bit. Now, the internet, several channels are absolutely great in terms of disseminating information, and that's part of the reason why the government wants to shut it down. In other words, curtail it or funnel it in some way. And we should all be opposed to this. But you can't just get your news and your information from the internet alone. You have to just look into things a little bit further, and without experiencing other cultures or reading books, you're not going to get that far, you know. The elites up on the top, they've read those books. Well, some of them have read those books. And they understand some of the difficulties involved, as opposed to us lowly figures here down below, who are presumed too stupid to understand what is going on. It's actually quite different. Everyone can understand the situation as long as they're exposed to it, and that's what we're trying to do. So we're going to disseminate some ongoing information on here as long as it's permissible, and if not, then we'll find other avenues to do so. Thanks everyone to tuning in to my channel and to some of the channels I subscribe to. It's an eye-opener for many people, and we shouldn't give up. It's going to be a long and difficult road ahead, as always. You know, every generation goes through this, and we're no different. And so now hard times are coming, and we have to inform ourselves if we're going to try to make things better. Good night.